back in the summer of 2018, MGM announced that they were going to be doing a Child's Play remake, much to the dismay of the original creators. I mean, after all, the original creators were still working on the story of Chucky that we all know and love. However, MGM continued with their Child's Play remake, and in 2019, we got that on the big screen. Was that film any good? Well, today we're going to talk about it, so let's get spooky. Greetings everyone, y bienvenidos a todos. My name is Nightshade. This is the Night Shift, a home for all things spooky, and today we're looking at Child's Play, released in 2019. Now, when this movie was announced and set to be released in 2019, I, as well as a handful of other horror fans, fundamentally disagreed with that decision. You know, Don Mancini and his whole crew were still fleshing out the story, still going forward with the story of Chucky. There was no need for a remake or a reboot. Like, the story was still ongoing. But, you know, MGM actually still held the rights to the original Child's Play and went ahead with a reboot anyway. Kind of a dick move, honestly. And for the longest time, I boycotted this movie. I refused to watch it. But, you know, I wanted to complete the whole series here, this whole franchise here in this review series. And up until last night, which chronologically for you guys would be last Saturday, and if you're watching this even further in the future, was a while ago. But up until last night, I didn't watch this movie. I refused. I didn't watch any reviews on this movie. I didn't give this movie the time of day. I didn't give a shit about this movie. But like I said, last night I watched it and I was going to judge it based on its own merit. But, you know, I wanted to separate it from, you know, the rest of the franchise and base it on its own thing. And, you know, I've seen a decent amount of hate online for this movie, so I was going into this film expecting that it was going to suck. I went in with the mindset that I am going to genuinely hate this movie, and I was expecting to do nothing but trash it. And, I don't. You know, I genuinely didn't hate it at all. I had a lot of fun watching this film. And I know right now people are probably like, what the fuck? This is bullshit, blah, 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 blah. And, you know, like, I didn't hate it at all. And here's why. It's so different that it should really constitute as a completely different thing. Honestly, if this film was called, like, Buddy or something not Child's Play, and the main character's name was something else, and it was just a story of an AI killer doll, I think people would have a lot of fun with this film. Because honestly, on its own, it's fun. It's a fun movie. And this film does its own thing, and I had a lot of fun with this movie. I was not expecting to. It was a pleasant surprise, but I absolutely adored this film. Like, it's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. No, it's not that at all. But, you know, it's on par with a cheesy slasher flick, and I had fun with it. And, you know, I'm happy to say that I'm really excited to talk about it. So now that I've lost half of the audience, let's go ahead and get into the review. So for this movie, I'm going to break it down into two categories, the positives and the negatives, let you know what I liked about it and what I didn't like about it. Then I'm going to talk about my favorite scene in this film and let you know why it is my favorite scene of this film. And then we are going to score this out of a possible 10 and end the video. But here on the Night Shift, we always try to start things off on the bright side with although the concept of AI going rogue and causing harm to humans is nothing new. I mean, we've had that since Terminator. I mean, we got that all the way back in 1968 with 2001: A Space Odyssey. I think it was 1968. I could be wrong. So yeah, the concept is nothing new, but you know, the increasing wave of AI being ingrained into our modern society, it's being implemented into almost everything nowadays, and you know, it's becoming a more prevalent fear. But you know, the concept of a child's toy that is powered by AI is going rogue. It's a fun one to think about. So, you know, I enjoyed the concept of this. I do like that they didn't, you know, like beat for beat remake and do a serial killer voodoo possessed doll, and they went their own route. Again, like I said, if this was named something else, I think a lot of people would have more fun with this film. And you know, like an AI doll that has its safety features turned off and just starts to learn about violence to the point where it thinks killing is the optimal fun time activity. I think the concept is great, and you know, I have fun with it. I had fun with this movie. So definitely had to throw that on the positives list. So moving right along into our next positive, we have... So a disgruntled factory worker who has a hand in mass producing these dolls and works on the AI for these dolls decides that, you know, he is going to turn off all the safety features in one doll. I don't know why he didn't try to go for more. I mean, if you're mad, do as much damage as you can. But he reprograms just one doll before throwing himself off of a building. This doll then makes its way into the possession of Andy, who is a loner type in this film, doesn't have many friends, and you know, his mom kind of cheeses her way into getting him a free doll. And you know, Andy accidentally teaches this doll that violence is fun by having a good time watching Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, and the doll then learns some new behaviors. So he ends up learning that, you know, people like violence, so he becomes violent. It's a fun story, and like I said, if this was called something else, I think people would have a lot more fun with it. The concept and the story beats are so much different, and they're ones that I enjoy. I really had a good time watching this film, and especially with, you know, the behavior pattern in Chucky, you know, developing, and, you know, seeing how, you know, like there's a scene when they're watching the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and like the AI is looking at the laughs and registering fun, and, you know, then he goes and tries to make them laugh, you know, like it's one of those things, like the AI had good intentions, but, you know, the road to hell was paved with good intentions. So, like, I like that dichotomy in this film. I thought it was a lot of fun, and it was better than I could have hoped. Like, for as far as AI goes, it was way better than I could have hoped. And, you know, I loved it. I had a great time, and I'm going to do my best to stop saying I had a good time. You get it. I had a good time, so I don't need to repeat it as many times as I do, but I did in fact have a good time, god damn it. So yeah, the story, surprisingly solid. And that being said, let's go ahead and move on to our next positive, which is... Like, even though this Chucky isn't Chucky, you know what I mean? Like, it's not Chucky. Like, I almost want to just call him Buddy, because I think it works better than calling him Chucky at this point in time. So even though it's not Chucky, I think this Chucky, it works for this movie. My childhood hero, Mark Hamill, voices the character. I mean, he was, you know, my favorite Jedi growing up, and he was my favorite cartoon villain in The Joker growing up. So, you know, childhood hero, love Mark Hamill. I think he would be the only person that I would genuinely like fanboy over if I met them in real life, because, you know, normally celebrities don't do anything for me. Like, I've met a couple, I guess, celebrity type people, and it's never really fazed me because they're all just people. But Mark Hamill to me is a god. Mark Hamill in this portrayal of Chucky modeled his voice off of a Teddy Ruxpin.
Teddy Ruxpin. Can you and I be friends? I really enjoy talking to people.
You know, I like that Mark Hamill went a different route with voicing this Chucky and made him his own thing, which I can appreciate. He comes with a surprising, like, hauntingly, like, almost too friendly of a voice.
Hi, are you my best buddy?
And it gives this character its own type of eerie vibe, and, you know, so, like, it's not as in your face like Brad Dourif is, which, you know, make no mistake, Brad Dourif is the only Chucky. This is Buddy. This isn't Chucky. This is its own thing, and it works for me because, you know, it's a unique type of haunting vibe that like eerie vibe that this dog gives off, which I'm a fan of. Like, I like that Mark Hamill went a different route and didn't try to carbon copy what Brad Dourif had already done. And, you know, I kind of wish we would have gotten more of the gruff as well, like towards the end whenever Chucky is, you know, full bore homicidal maniac, red eyes and everything. I wish we would have gotten a little bit more of that, but overall I really love I really love Mark Hamill's portrayal of Chucky, Buddy, Chucky, whatever the fuck. You know what I'm talking about. I also like that this Chucky can control things, like with AI. Like, he can take over drones and TVs and stuff like that, which gives it a completely different and more threatening edge, because, you know, if Chucky can just supplant his AI into other things, like there's no way you can hide from this version of Chucky. Most of our phones are powered by AI nowadays, so imagine like he will never not know where you're at like that. I wish they would have expounded on that even more in this film, and it's kind of a shame that, you know, they don't have the rights to use Chucky 2 or Child's Play 2 or anything like that, because I would love to see a follow-up of this film. And you know, it's a damn shame. MGM, what the fuck were you thinking? You could have been sitting on a gold mine by not calling this thing Child's Play. Like, fuck, dude, this would have been so cool to see played out even further in a series. Like, fuck, dude, like they really dropped the ball. Had they just done something else, like this would have been like a fucking gold mine of a franchise to just keep pumping out more sequels to, because it's pretty decent, man. Like, this could have been like really fucking cool. I mean, the doll's ugly as fuck though. Like, don't get that twisted. We'll talk about that later. Like, it was just a missed opportunity to do something cool with a brand new like homicidal doll franchise. Would have been cool. You know, another thing is that this doll, although it's a lifeless, soulless object, does find its way into being somewhat sympathetic. You know, there was a time where I actually felt kind of bad for the doll whenever he gets pounced on by the friends and he's calling out for Andy for help because he doesn't understand why, you know, they think killing is bad, because, you know, it's a bugged out AI. And, you know, whenever they pounce on him, and he's making that face, it's just kind of sad. And like, I was not expecting that from a movie like this. I don't know, that might just be me, but you know, they tugged at my heartstrings just a little bit, like just enough. And you know, that's not really anything that we got from the Brad Dourif Chucky. You know, you don't really sympathize for that character, you just want to watch him kill. And which, you know, obviously, you know, it was just unexpected. It was unexpected, and fuck, dude, I love it. I had to go on the positives. I enjoyed it. So, moving right along into our next positive, we have you know, the kills in this were surprisingly decent, especially in a film like this that definitely feels like it's geared more towards teenagers. So whenever we got some decently brutal kills in this film, I was surprised but very happy with it. Like the buzzsaw kill, nice. But you know, it was a pleasant surprise that they didn't skip out on any of the red stuff and gave us some decent savagery and carnage. Much appreciated. So moving on to our next positive, we have... So I don't want to spend too much time on this because it starts to get a little bit samey whenever you compliment cinematography, but I just want to say that this is a gorgeous looking film. You know, the camera movements, the angles that they chose to go with, and you know, the compositions and everything in this film all are very beautiful. And you know, I just wanted to mention that here because I appreciate good cinematography. Now, moving on to our next positive, we have... Another thing that we got that I wasn't expecting but pleasantly surprised that we got was the theme song. I love the sound of broken music boxes and using toys to create an eerie ambience. I used to make rap beats back in the day, surprise, but you know, I used to make rap beats and I used to sell them, and whenever I would make like horror themed hip hop beats, I would always gravitate towards like broken music boxes and out of tune kids pianos because they always give off an eerie vibe, and it's an eerie vibe that I like, and they utilized that type of sound in the theme song for this film, and I'm a huge fan of it. I was not expecting much going into this, so what we got, I was happy with it. So yeah, loved the theme song in this in this movie. And just like that, we are out of positives, so now we move on to the not so bright side with the comedy in this film fucking sucks. Comedy here just does not land for me. I think it's a little too try hard, a little too on the nose to try to get a laugh.
What's your name?
Andy. Sup?
Hi, Andy Sup.
Like, it really just does not work for me. Like, you know, when Andy's all like, your name is Han Solo. Did you say Chucky? Like, or the, you know, this is for Tupac line, which, do kids nowadays listen to Tupac? Like, if they do, congratulations, you got good taste, but like, even for me, that feels like a dated reference, and I grew up in the 90s, like, I'm old. And, you know, there's a lot of jokes like that they try to land, but it misses the mark for me every time. It's just not my type of humor. I'm sure there are some people out there that can find some laughs out of this, but I was not one of them. So yeah, the comedy in this film just wasn't for me. Moving into our next negative, we have... So the way this film was edited kind of throws me off a little bit. Like, I feel like there was more shot for this film that they just didn't include in the movie. Now, the movie that I watched was actually the theatrical release. I don't know if maybe there's an unrated version that has more scenes put into it, but the way this film was edited is kind of weird. Like, there's a scene in here where, like, Andy is just randomly hanging out with a bunch of kids, which is where the, you know, this is for Tupac line comes from. And then those kids just fuck off forever until, like, the plot demands that they need to be in this film. And then we're supposed to just accept the fact that, oh, no, they've been here, like, the whole time. You know, Andy's definitely friends with these people. Like, what the fuck? Like, we know of 2 kids that Andy's friends with, but then, you know, towards the end of the movie, it's like, oh, yeah, those other 5 kids. Like, what? I don't comprehend. You just yada your way into having more cast. I don't know, that part just bugged me. Either there's like deleted scenes that I'm unaware of, or they just didn't film enough and expect us, the audience, to go with it. So, but I don't. So, yeah, that kind of bugs me. Another thing that kind of pissed me off was seeing the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 edited out of sequence in the film. Little shit like that will bug me. It's all like, oh, it jumped from the end to the beginning to the middle to the beginning to the end to the beginning, and stop. Don't ever do that. But yeah, the way that they edited this movie and chose to go about putting their sequences together just kind of rubs me the wrong way, and it's a little bit off-putting whenever you notice it. So yeah, definitely had to put that on the negatives list. Now, moving right along into our final negative, we have this ugly ass fucking doll. Like, this doll ugly as fuck. You know, the thing that surprises me is they spent 6 weeks on this doll, and that's the best they could come up with. This ugly ass doll is the best you could do with 6 weeks of your time. Like, should have hired somebody else. I don't know who was in charge of making this doll. If any of you know, sound off in the comments below and enlighten me. But whoever it was dropped the fucking ball with this guy, because boy, that's an ugly fucking doll. You know, this thing is supposed to be the hot new toy that all the kids are raving about, and I don't see kids enjoying the fucking toy because that thing ugly as fuck, dude. Like, yeah, it's not a good doll. It's not a good looking doll at all. So that is just about going to do it for my negatives list. I don't really have a whole lot to gripe about on this film, surprisingly enough. But now we move on to our next segment, which is... So for this one, I actually had a toss-up of 2 potential favorite scenes. The 2 that I was kind of in between on was Chucky kills Shane or Doreen's death. And I'm going to have to go with my favorite scene being Doreen's death sequence. Mostly because I don't fucking trust self-driving cars at all. Like, fuck that. Like, my mind ventures towards this shit whenever I see, like, you know, self-driving taxis that go fucking haywire in parking lots. Like, this type of shit freaks me the fuck out, alright? And I will never get into a self-driving car for this reason. Like, fucking shit scares the fuck out of me. I don't like AI. Ladies and gentlemen, this just in, Nightshade is a fucking boomer. And you absolutely right, because, you know, shit like this is, like, where my mind veers, is, you know, the fucking car driving itself, going fucking ape shit, and then wrecking into some shit that I can't stop it from happening. Like, fuck that. No. And, you know, whenever the car wrecks and you hear Chucky's little taunting, you know, still kind of friendly, but still very taunting and very threatening sounding voice, I just thought it was good. I thought it was a great fucking scene. So yeah, definitely had to make that my favorite scene of the film.
Doreen. I said peekaboo.
Now with all of that said and done, it is time to score this out of 10. So, weighing the pros and cons, I'm going to give this movie a solid 8 out of 10, which I was not expecting to do. Like I said, I started watching this film fully expecting to hate everything that I was going to see, but that was just not the case. The only thing that makes me severely mad about this film is that they named it Child's Play because, you shot yourself in the foot right out the gate and gave this movie no chance. No fucking chance. People do not like remakes. Horror fans especially do not like remakes. So immediately saying that this is a Child's Play remake already fucking shot yourself in the foot by calling it that. Because there's plenty of people, much like myself, that did not give this film the time of day simply because it's a remake. Yeah, with that being said, I genuinely enjoyed this movie and I was not expecting to, but I'm sure there's plenty of people that still hate it. And if you hated this movie simply because, it's not Brad Dourif and it's not Don Mancini and all that shit, fair enough. But I would recommend you giving this movie a second try through, a different playing field. You know what I mean? If you're one of the few people out there that genuinely likes this film, sound off in the comments below. So that is just about going to do it for me. If you like the video, let me know by leaving me a like. Comment down below what you want to see on the channel next. I will do my best to accommodate. I really will. And until next time, my name is Nightshade. This has been The Night Shift, and I will see you in the next video. Stay spooky, my friends.